Welcome back to another Sunday prep day if you're new here. Every Sunday I prep for the week, so that means cutting all my vegetables and making things that take a little bit of time. So today I'm also going to make some tomato soup, so that's ready to go. So by prepping all my ingredients, I can have lunch or dinner on the table in minutes, but at the same time I still have a lot of flexibility. I'm not stuck with one thing I've already prepped, and I'm also cooking everything fresh. So we're going to start by cutting up an onion that is going to go in my soup. I'm using a yellow onion for that, just for color reasons. And I'm putting that in a big bowl or container so I can gather all the rest of my soup ingredients in there as well. So if you want to follow along, by the way, every time I release a Sunday prep day video, there's also an accompanying post on Instagram where you'll find the meal plan written out. I'll list it in a moment. But if you just want to read back, that will be there as well. I'm just grabbing a couple of cloves of garlic. Those are going in my soup. I don't need to cut those. But yeah, the meal plan is there. All the ingredients that I'm going to be using. Not just the stuff that you see me prep, but also things like rice or the meats I'll be using and things like that. So you'll have a complete grocery list there, basically. So I'm just dicing up some garlic for a couple of things. So yeah, check out Instagram if you want to follow along. And yeah, let's just go over the meal plan. So as I usually do on Sundays, I'm going to have some sandwiches for lunch. I have some whole wheat rolls. I have some chicken breast sliced. I'll do some cucumber. I'll do some lettuce. Maybe some hot sauce. I've been really enjoying hot sauce lately. But that's probably the only time you'll hear me mention carbs for lunch. Because I'm diabetic, had to cut carbs, so I found the easiest way is just cut them for my lunch. So, and then I have normal dinners. But on the weekend, I have my cheat days because sandwiches are amazing and really convenient. So, well, yeah, that's just some garlic. I'm gonna slice up some spring onions, mostly for garnish. Then for dinner tonight, I'm gonna do some chicken burgers. I have some ground chicken. I'll form those into patties. I might add some veggies in there as well, just for some extra flavor. And I will serve that on some brioche hamburger buns with some cucumber, some lettuce, mayo, hot sauce, that kind of stuff. There we go. Then we were on Monday, Meatless Monday. So for lunch, I'm going to have some tomato soup. So I'll prep that today, and then tomorrow I just need to warm that through. I'm just cutting up a couple of onions now. I need to dice one, and the rest I'll just slice. So yeah, soup for lunch. And then for dinner, I'm going to do some, it's more of an experiment. I'm going to do some vegan sloppy joes. And I'm just going to adapt my vegan tacos or a vegetarian quesadilla recipe, because that's what I was originally planning. But since I'm going to have some burgers tonight, I bought a pack of burger buns, and I'll have some buns left over. So I need to use those up. And I figured I like that vegan recipe on some tacos. Why not try it on some rolls? So what I'll do is I'll have a shredded carrot, onion, garlic, peppers, chilies, that kind of stuff. And instead of having my roasted salsa with it, or sometimes I do like some tomato puree with some spices, instead I'm going to do the mustard, ketchup, and instead I'll still use my lentils and beans. So we'll see how that turns out. It should be good. Then we're on Tuesday. For lunch, I'm gonna have some tandoori chicken, and I have listed some broccoli. The thing is, I'm gonna have broccoli and spinach ready to go this week, so I can have either or. Doesn't really matter as long as I just have 2 portions of broccoli during that week and 2 portions of spinach. So, but which exactly I'm gonna have when, we'll just see what I'm in the mood for that day. That's the good thing about prepping the ingredients and not the whole thing. Other than it being fresh as well when you eat it and not just warmed up. So, then for dinner, I'm gonna do some Korean tacos. So I still have some ground beef in the freezer. And I'll do that with some onions, some chilies, etc. Saute that, and I'll also use some kimchi. I just have some store-bought kimchi. Some spring onions, some cilantro, sesame oil, sesame seeds, soy sauce. And I'll do some sriracha mayo. Did I mention the spring onions are going to go in there as well? So, I really like Korean tacos. So when I saw that I still had 1 portion of beef in the freezer, I thought that would be a perfect excuse to use them. So, on Wednesday, I still have a pork chop in the freezer. So I'm going to have a pork chop with some spinach or broccoli. So we'll just see what I'm in the mood for most. And then I bought some chorizo. So for dinner, I'm going to have some chorizo tacos. Again, because I had to change my plans a bit. I was planning on using the tortillas left over from the Korean tacos for my lentil tacos, but since I changed that, I had tortillas left over. So I thought, why not do that with some chorizo and obviously chilies, peppers, garlic, onion. So I'm just gonna cut some chilies, and as always, the jalapenos, I like taking all the seeds out because it's a lot. And the cayenne, I'm not gonna bother. But yeah, the chilies are gonna go in my tacos, in my sloppy joes. I might use some in my burger patty as well. Oh yeah, and the tacos, I could do just regular onion, garlic, chilies, peppers, like a salsa kind of thing, or I can turn it into a mango salsa because I do have some mangoes. I plan on using them for breakfast, maybe if I'm in the mood for breakfast. If I don't have them for breakfast, I'll use them as a snack or for some mango salsa. But I could have just a regular, pico de gallo kind of thing, but with peppers instead of tomatoes, because I prefer peppers over raw tomatoes. I like tomato sauce, I like tomato soup, I just don't like raw tomato that much. So these jalapenos I'm just going to dice up, because otherwise it would be a little bit too big for my salsa, and like I said, I might want to mix some in with my chicken for my burger patties. So that is jalapenos. And then the cayenne, I'm not going to bother taking the seeds out. So I'm just going to give them a quick slice at an angle. And my screen just went black. For Thursday, I'm going to have some more tandoori chicken. So that's just chicken drumsticks, yogurt, tandoori spices. And I'll have that with spinach or broccoli, whichever I'll have left over. And then for Thursday, since I'll have chorizo left, I'll do a chorizo rice bowl. And again, with a salsa, maybe a mango salsa. We'll just see. And then for Friday, just gonna have an easy meal. Whatever vegetable I have left over, so be it broccoli or spinach. And I have some canned herring, some pickled herring. And I'll just have that with that. So there's not a lot of cooking involved. Yeah, I bought some recently and I tried it because it's been a while since I had some pickled herring. And I quite liked it, so I thought, why not have that for a meal on a meatless, not meatless, but a Fish Friday. So, and then Friday for dinner, I'm gonna do a grain bowl, so either some oats or some mixed grains, so that's oat, barley, and what's the other one, rye, I think? And I'll have that with some fish, and I don't know what kind of vegetable I'm gonna have with it yet. I have some spinach in the freezer that I could use. I have some cans of things like edamame, something like that, corn. So we'll just see what I feel like on Friday. So I have some peppers. I need some for my tacos and or salsa. I need some for my sloppy joes. I'll put some in my soup as well. Good thing I'm thinking about that now, so I can actually add that now before I forget. So I'll slice up some and I'll dice up some because for my things like my salsa, I would prefer diced, nice and small. But for other things, slices like these are perfectly fine. And I'm using the long peppers. They're not chilies, they are peppers. But I prefer using these because I've said this before. They're smaller, so I can use different colors instead of one big one. And they're just easier to cut. So I like these, but you can totally use regular if you like. But yeah, what I'm gonna do, I want about one of these peppers diced, the rest sliced. But since I want to do color, I'm actually going to do half a green, half a red diced. And the rest I'll just slice. So you saw me slice a half, you saw me dice a half. So I'll just quickly do the rest. Then I have some tomatoes for my tomato soup. So I'm just gonna cut them down a bit, just so they break down a little bit easier when I cook them. And I will put them in a separate container, even though I said I'm gonna gather all my soup ingredients in one container. But that's because I want to saute all my other vegetables first, let them soften before I add the tomatoes. So I'm just gonna cut these into chunks real quick. Okay, that is tomatoes. Next up, let's do some cucumber. That is for sandwiches and for my burgers. Next up, some celery. I have some small stalks, so I'll just use 2. If you have bigger ribs of celery, just use 1. And I'm gonna blend my soup, but I still want to cut things fine-ish. Not super fine, but just so it's a bit easier to blend. So that can go in with my soup ingredients. Then I have some carrots. 1 I'm going to just slice up, or like half coins. That's going to be for my soup. I'll I'll just give that a quick slice. And again, it doesn't have to be super fine because I'm gonna blend it, but this is pretty much my default chop. So that can go in with my soup ingredients. And then the other carrot, I'm gonna get my slicer, my julienne slicer, and I'll just quickly julienne this. I'm using my julienne slicer just because it's quicker and more even than I can do it by hand, but you can use a grater, you can cut it. I don't technically need it shredded for Sloppy Joes, but since I'm just adapting a recipe I already know and like, I'm gonna shred it just like I would for that recipe. Okay, that's carrot done. Let's do some broccoli. Like I said earlier, I need 2 portions of broccoli. So I'm just gonna take off the florets and cut up the pieces that are a little bit bigger to make them bite-sized pieces. And for 2 portions, I'm just gonna do this whole head because I like my veg and there's not a lot of calories in there, so I can just get a lot of veg in. And as always, save the stems for things like broccoli rice. Next up, I have some cilantro for my salsa and for my tacos. So I'm just gonna give that a rough chop first, just to make it easier to work with. So cut off all the leaves, save the stems for things like broccoli rice, not broccoli, for a curry paste. And now I'm just going to run my knife through until it's nice and fine. And the last thing for chopping, I have these mangoes. So I'm just gonna cut off the cheek, cut it one way, flip it over the other way to get a nice little grid. And then I'll just scoop it out with a spoon. And that is perfect for a mango salsa, for my yogurt, and also just for a snack. And I'll do all 3 of these mangoes. And that's about as much as I can reasonably get off this seed. So this is just a perfect snack. So as I was cutting my mango, I also preheated my Ninja Foodi on saute, highest it goes. So now I'm just gonna add a little bit of oil, and then I'll add my peppers, carrots, garlic, onion, celery. Add a little bit of salt, and before I forget, I'll also add some chili just for some spice. And I'm using the red chilies just for color reasons. And while that is softening, I'm just going to put away the things I don't need anymore. And if I didn't say so far, all the chopping took me about 30 minutes. And now that the vegetables have softened a bit, I'm going to add my tomatoes. And the reason I'm adding them later is because a lot of moisture comes off of it. So the vegetables would stew more than saute. So now the tomatoes are in, I'm just going to give them a few minutes to cook down as well. Now it's time to add some parsley because I want parsley for flavor, but since I'm blending my soup, I do not want all this green in there because I want to keep it a vibrant red-orange color. So I'm going to take about half a bunch of parsley. I'm going to leave it whole and just dump that in. And when it's done, I can just fish that out so I don't have all that green in there. And the other half of the bunch I'll just save for another time. But now I'm just going to add some water. There's quite a bit of water in the tomato, so I don't need to add that much. Just make sure everything is submerged. And then I'm going to put the pressure cook lid on. Because I have a pressure cooker, so why not use it? You could totally do this on the stove, but this is just easier. I'm going to switch it to pressure cook. And soup doesn't take that long, so I'm going to give it 20 minutes. That's just going to do its thing, and I'll just be back when that's done to close out the video. Okay, the soup is done, and like I said, I'm just going to take the parsley out. It served its purpose. It gave all the flavor, but now I don't want all that color in there. And then I'll just give it a quick blitz with my stick blender. That's the soup done, so now when I want to have that for lunch tomorrow, I can just warm that back up. So that's all the prep work done for this week. I could now have lunch or dinner on the table in minutes. And if you like this kind of content, I do this every single Sunday. And if you'd like to see what I ultimately do with all the things that I prepped, you can check out my Instagram, which is linked below, where I post every single meal. Or you can check out the video that I post about once a month on here, where I show you everything I eat in a day for a whole week. And I'll probably film that next week. So if that all sounds good to you, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and thank you for watching. Until next time, bye for now.